You might not like this, but here's how I would rank every single upcoming DC Universe movie and TV show by how badly I'm itching to watch them. And I'm not gonna hold you, this list is starting to look like a CVS receipt. The gun just reloaded and he's about to gun load. And as a matter of fact, you might just learn some shit about how many projects DC is currently working on. But either way, we gotta get to the bottom of which one is on top of my excitement level. But you can't forget, it's my list, I can't miss. Kicking off the list, I gotta go with Krypto Saves the Day, which is a bunch of animated shorts featuring Krypto saving the day, produced by DC Studios. In essence, this is kind of like DC Studios' answer to the Groot shorts from Marvel Studios. So it'll probably be cute and for the kids, and I can't hate on that. I'm just personally not that excited for it. But if we get Superman in this show saying, Krypto, get the toy locked in. Next up, I gotta go with that Authority movie that James Gunn announced for his first phase of Gods and Monsters in the DC Universe. Now, don't get me wrong, I was pretty excited for this film when he first announced it, just because this is a group of characters that I'm not super familiar with. Like, I've seen them show up in other people's comics more so than I've actually read their comics. But we did get introduced to the engineer in Superman for a reason. But for some reason, James Gunn just recently said they're having trouble with the script, so they've moved on and shelved it for the time being, so it probably won't come out for a while anyway. So that's kind of gotten me a little less excited. From there, I gotta go with the Waller HBO Max series that is still in development, allegedly. Now, we haven't actually gotten a lot of updates for this project in a long time, but I mean, it's Viola Davis. She's a fucking queen, and we're probably gonna be focusing on the fallout from Peacemaker Season 1 and 2 and the rest of the DC Universe for Amanda Waller specifically. She's no longer the head of Argus, so we got to see what the hell she got going on in the DC Universe. I feel like this is a project that James himself is going to say, give me that shit back, I'll do this in my way. And honestly, I hope he does that, because if it has the vibes of Peacemaker, From there, I got to go with the animated Blue Beetle series that's set to take place in the DC Universe. Again, we haven't gotten much update since Jolo Maridueña saying that it's set to premiere sometime in 2026. And I'm just curious to see if it's actually connected to the DC Universe or if it's just kind of like adjacent, like an Elseworlds project. Regardless, I fuck with Jaime Reyes, I fuck with Jolo Maridueña. I want to see more of them in the DC Universe, so that's why it's up this high. Now, you're probably noticing a theme here, but here's another project that James Gunn initially announced to be a part of his Gods and Monsters Phase 1 for the new DC Universe that is still in development and we haven't gotten many updates on, and that's Paradise Lost, which was described as a Game of Thrones style drama for HBO Max featuring the Amazonians. And that right there was enough to have me thoroughly intrigued. We're going to be focusing on Themyscira, a bunch of badass women, learning more about the backstory and lore for Wonder Woman. Sign me up, get it going, come on, what are we waiting for? From there, I gotta go to Swamp Thing, which you might have forgot was initially announced too. And I remember when this first got announced, I was super juiced because they had the CW version of Swamp Thing that I thought was pretty cool. But they announced that James Mangold, the director of Logan amongst many other incredible motion pictures, was going to be directing this, and it was going to be a horror flick. But again, it's still in development and we haven't got an update in a while, so my excitement level is going down. Next up, I'm going with Dynamic Duo, and I know that should be way higher. And yeah, I feel like I should be more excited. I do like the fact that this is going to be an animated project in like a Leica style, puppeteering with other animation styles, featuring Red Hood and Nightwing. Like, what are we talking about? It's just tough for me to get excited for that because I feel like it's not going to be connected to the new DC Universe and it's going to be more adjacent. But there is potential for it to be fucking incredible like the Spider-Verse movies. I just need to see a little bit more, which is why I got Clayface bumped all the way higher, because we started seeing some set photos and shit, and oh my goodness, this seems like it's going to be a horror banger for the DC Universe. It's set to be an R-rated body horror flick in the same style as The Substance, but instead featuring Matt Hagen turned into a clay monster. You know, on the surface, starting off with your cinematic universe with a Batman villain without Batman first is kind of fucking crazy, and it feels like they're taking a page out of Sony's book of using Spider-Man villain movies with no Spider-Man. But this one's got some great talent attached to it. You got Mike Flanagan, who wrote the script and was inspired by Batman the Animated Series Clayface story arc, directed by James Watkins, who did Speak No Evil, a pretty decent director. I'm excited. This could be a sleeper. And speaking of Batman villains getting their own movie before Batman in the DC Universe, I'm going with Bane and Deathstroke next. Yeah, in case you forgot, we're getting a Bane and Deathstroke movie, in essence like a Deadpool and Wolverine movie in the DC Universe. And just that concept alone is what has me juiced, because we're probably going to get finally our best adaptation of Bane in live action, and finally get to see that man Slade actually put in some work in live action on the big screen. And I'm really curious to see how this factors into the new DC Universe. And again, bro, like, just tell us who this Batman is. And it would be cool to have Batman appear as a villain in their eyes. That would be fire. Either way, the coldness between these two villains is what has me excited, because these are some fucking demons. From there, I got to go with Batman Brave and the Bold. And I got to be honest with you, I'm not too excited about this direction they're going with Batman in the DC Universe. First of all, starting off with Damian Wayne is definitely a fucking choice. But also the fact that we have Andy Muschietti directing kind of turns me off, even though the Batman scenes with Michael Keaton were the best part of The Flash, in my opinion. There's something about this that, especially with the Batman going on right now, that has me lukewarm on it, but it's Batman regardless. So when it comes out, I'm gonna be juiced. Next up, I gotta go with the Wonder Woman movie that we know is now in production, is being fast-tracked by James Gunn. He understands that Batman, Wonder Woman, and Superman are the pillars of the DC universe, so fast-tracking this movie was a smart choice. But it's just tough for me to get excited about a Wonder Woman movie when we got the bad taste of Wonder Woman 1984 still in our minds. But then I'm thinking, like, this might just end up being the best Wonder Woman movie ever. And it really all just comes down to who they cast and what storylines they pull from. But as long as I ain't hearing, I need you to give me the stone, I'm good with it. And that's the truth, with some cheese on it. From there, I gotta go with the Booster Gold series that James Gunn first announced as well, which is currently still in development. Now, there were rumors that Kumail Nanjiani had been cast as Booster Gold, but that hasn't been confirmed nor denied, so I'm just using this image just because I thought it would be funny. But a fun Sammy lore fact here, the first ever issue of any type of comic I got was a Booster Gold comic at a flea market when I was like, I don't even know, 5. It wasn't enough to make him like my favorite superhero or anything, but I've always been intrigued by the fact that, you got this dude who's like obsessed with being a celebrity, but also being a time traveling fucking superhero. And I just want to see him finally brought to the big screen. And also bring Ted Kord along so we can get their dynamic in live action too. But from there, I got to go with the Teen Titans movie that is also currently in development, just because there ain't no way in hell they're going to be able to cast Nightwing and Starfire. But also, like, which are we going to get, like this version of the Teen Titans, or are we going to get like the animated Teen Titans? Like, for me, the reason it's this high up in the excitement level is because, one, I love the Teen Titans, but also, like, I'm just so intrigued in how they're going to make it work without pissing off a few people along the way. But from there, I got to go with Lanterns, which comes out in 2026, an HBO Max series featuring Aaron Pierre as Jon Stewart and Kyle Chandler as Hal Jordan. First of all, these are two actors that I just love, but there are so many other reasons why I'm so intrigued with this. First of all, this is being described as a true detective-like series, a mystery thriller that is primarily set on Earth, but will have the Lanterns turning into space cops and flying around and shit. And not only that, we will be getting the return of Guy Gardner in this movie, along with the official introduction of Sinestro for the DC universe. And I'm just really excited to see how they genre blend, going from like a true detective type serious drama to all the shenanigans of being a Green Lantern. Because this shit gonna get cosmic. And honestly, I feel like there's gonna be huge ramifications for the entire universe that are gonna come out from this show. In brightest day, in darkest night, no lantern shall ever escape my sight. But from there, I gotta go with Supergirl. I can't even contain my excitement level for this film. And just that little taste and tease we got of Supergirl in the Superman movie got me even more juiced that they're gonna nail it. Even this teaser poster for Supergirl changing the look up to look out is genius, because they're already setting the tone that this is gonna be a completely different film than the one you just watched. And not only is this gonna be based off of probably Tom King's best writing work in Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which is a very mature take on Kara dealing with the traumatic events of what happened to Krypton, but we're getting the introduction of Jason Momoa as Lobo in this film. And if you've read Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, trust me, you know just how peak the story is, and the potential is there for this to be the best DCU movie ever. And if you don't agree, Millie Alcock. What else do I need to say? And if you don't agree, I'm gonna get Krypto to piss on you. But in second place, that's right, I did not stutter, I got Man of Tomorrow, which James Gunn recently just announced that is essentially the Superman sequel. But I'm starting to think that it's gonna be the first big crossover event for this entire DC universe. Now, obviously, we're teasing the return of Lex Luthor in a mech suit this time, having to team up with Clark Kent Superman. And there's just so much potential for this movie that has me thoroughly excited, and also to see just how James Gunn balances all of these different characters together. And just getting the dynamic between Lex, who was just the biggest hater in the world in the first movie, and having to team up with a dude he fucking despises and hates and envies, that take my money right there just from that. I couldn't be any more excited for Man of Tomorrow. But hands down in first place for me personally, stop playing with him, man. It's Vince Carter, the dunk contest, it's over. The Batman Part 2 is easily the most I've ever been excited for a DC project in a long time. It helps that they've been edging us and fucking pushing this shit back, so by the time I get to watch this in 2079, I'm gonna have a blast with it. I'm just so excited to get back into this world and see how Robert Pattinson learns and grows as this version of Bruce Wayne Batman. Are we going to get a little bit more fantastical with it, or is it going to stay a detective crime noir thriller? And this is like a true auteur, one of the most meticulous directors working today, in Matt Reeves making this damn movie. It is a fucking miracle that this day and age, in this cinematic superhero landscape, a film like this is able to exist. That might sound like glaze, but it's necessary for real. And if you don't agree, you want to get nuts? Let's get nuts. I'm Batman. Swear to me. That's why it's #1. Acknowledge it. But that is just how I would rank them. Let me know how you would rank all of these upcoming DCU projects down in the comments below. And as always, like and follow for more.